The taxi pulled away, leaving me standing in front of my grandparents' colonial-era mansion. Grandpa stood at the ornate doorway, his kind eyes clouded with confusion. "Annika, why are you in a taxi? Where's the Rose Royal we gifted you?" I tightened my grip on the envelope in my hand, my heart pounding. This was the moment I'd been dreading. "That's what I need to explain, Dadu," I said, using the Bengali endearment. "The Rose Royal. And why I had to make the choice I did in our family. The Rose Royal wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of legacy. My grandfather had bought the pristine white Ambassador car in 1985. The same year he opened his first jewelry store in Kolkata. It had been his pride and joy for decades, meticulously maintained. Until he passed it down to me on my graduation day. Every scratch tells a story," he'd said. His eyes misty. "Your grandmother and I brought your mother home from the hospital in this car. Now it's yours." So when Grandpa saw me arriving in a yellow taxi instead of the vintage beauty he'd entrusted to me, his concern was palpable. Come inside," he said, leading me through the familiar garden. "Your grandmother made sandesh. But first, tell me, is the Rose Royal at the mechanic's? Did something happen?" The truth was far more complicated than a mechanical failure. The truth involved my cousin Rowan, his desperate phone call 2 months ago, and the impossible choice I'd faced. "Dad, I need your help," Rowan had sobbed over the phone. "I've made a terrible mistake with Dadu's jewelry business." As the grandson who'd taken over the family jewelry stores, Rowan had been struggling for months. A bad investment in uncertified diamonds, combined with some dishonest employees, had left him with massive losses he'd been hiding from Grandpa. "If Dadu finds out, it will break his heart," Rowan had pleaded. "His health can't take another shock after his bypass surgery. Please, sell the Rose Royal and loan me the money. I'll repay you before the anniversary celebration, I promise." I'd hesitated, but the fear in his voice felt genuine. The Rose Royal was precious, but my grandfather's health was priceless. So I made the difficult decision. I sold the historic car to a collector and gave Rowan the money to cover his business losses, but the anniversary celebration had come and gone. Rowan always had new excuses, new promises. Meanwhile, I'd been taking taxis and avoiding family gatherings to hide what I'd done. Now, sitting in Grandpa's sunlit veranda, the envelope containing the sale documents felt heavy in my lap. "Dadu," I began, my voice barely above a whisper, "the Rose Royal is gone. I sold it." The piece of sandesh he was about to eat paused midway to his mouth. "Sold it, but why? That car was your inheritance. It was part of our family history." I took a deep breath, the scent of grandmother's roses mixing with my anxiety. "I sold it to help Rowan. He needed money for the business. There were some losses he was trying to cover." Grandpa's face went through a series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, then dawning understanding. "Losses? What losses? The business is doing well. He showed me the books just last week." My heart sank. "He showed you the books?" "Yes, everything looked perfect. Better than perfect, actually." Grandpa leaned forward, his wise eyes searching mine. "Annika, what exactly did Rowan tell you?" I recounted the entire story: the desperate phone call, the supposed business losses, the promises of repayment, and my fear about Grandpa's health. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope and showed him the bank transfer records and the Rose Royal sale documents. Grandpa listened in silence, his expression growing graver with each passing moment. When I finished, he stood up slowly and walked to his old wooden desk. "This doesn't make sense," he murmured, pulling out a set of ledgers. "The business has been thriving. In fact," his voice trailed off as he flipped through pages, then stopped abruptly. "Grandpa? What is it?" He looked up, his face pale. "Rowan didn't have business losses. He had gambling losses." The words hung in the air between us. "Gambling? Rowan? I've heard rumors," Grandpa continued, his voice heavy with disappointment. "Some of my friends at the club mentioned seeing him at the casino, but I didn't want to believe it. I thought they were mistaking him for someone else." Just then, the front door opened and Rowan walked in, all smiles. "Dadu, I thought I saw Annika's taxi." He stopped short when he saw the documents spread across the table. The room went silent. Grandpa looked from Rowan's guilty face to my tear-filled eyes. An understanding dawned. "Is it true?" Grandpa asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "Did you lie to your sister about business losses to cover your gambling debts?" Rowan's shoulders slumped, all pretense gone. "I'm sorry, Dadu, I got into deep. I thought I could win it back, and you let your sister sell the Rose Royal?" Grandpa's voice broke. "You knew what that car meant to this family. You knew it was my gift to her." I sat frozen, watching the scene unfold. The pieces were falling into place, and the betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined. Rowan couldn't meet our eyes. I was going to pay her back. I just needed more time. Time for what? Grandpa's voice rose, filled with a pain I hadn't heard since Grandma passed away. "Time to lose more money?" Time to betray more trust? I was scared. Rowan exploded. You expect so much from me. The perfect grandson, the perfect heir to the business. I couldn't tell you I'd messed up. Grandpa sank into his chair, looking every one of his 78 years. So instead of coming to me, you manipulated your sister. You made her sacrifice something precious because you knew she would do anything to protect me. The truth of his words hit me like a physical blow. Rowan hadn't just needed money, he had specifically targeted me because he knew my love for Grandpa would override my better judgment. I'm sorry, Annika, Rowan whispered, but the words felt empty. Grandpa looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of pride and sorrow. You sold the Rose Royal to protect me, he said softly. You thought you were saving my health, saving the business. Tears finally spilled down my cheeks. I thought I was doing the right thing. You were being a better sister than he deserved, Grandpa said firmly. Then he turned to Rowan, his expression hardening. You will go to the collector who bought the Rose Royal today. You will explain the situation and buy back the car at whatever price he demands. Rowan looked horrified. Dadu, I don't have that kind of money. The collector paid Annika 15 lakhs for it, he'll want more now. Then you will sell your sports car, Grandpa said without hesitation. You will liquidate your investments. You will do whatever it takes to get that car back. And until you do, you are suspended from the business. The ultimatum hung in the air. Rowan looked like he'd been slapped, but the business needs me, he protested. The business survived before you were born, and it will survive without you for now, Grandpa retorted. You need to learn about responsibility and family loyalty, something your sister understands better than you ever will. Just then, Grandma entered the veranda, having heard the raised voices. What's going on? Why is everyone shouting? When Grandpa explained the situation, Grandma's hand flew to her mouth. You sold the Rose Royal? She asked me, her eyes wide with shock. Before I could answer, Grandpa spoke up. She sold it to protect us. Because Rowan lied to her about business losses when he was actually covering gambling debts. Grandma's expression shifted from shock to anger. She turned to Rowan. How could you? That car. We brought your father home from the hospital in that car. We drove to your sister's wedding in that car. It's not just metal and engine, it's our family's memories. I'd never seen Grandma so angry. Rowan seemed to shrink under her gaze. I'll fix this, he mumbled, already backing toward the door. I'll get the car back. After he left, Grandma came and sat beside me, taking my hand. You should have come to us, Beta, she said softly. We would have understood. I was so afraid for Grandpa's health, I whispered. Rowan said the stress might. Grandpa came and knelt before me, his eyes earnest. Annika, my health is important, but not as important as your happiness. Not as important as our family's truth. You carrying this burden alone, that's what would have truly made me sick. In that moment, I realized I'd made the same mistake as Rowan. I'd underestimated my grandparents' strength and overestimated their fragility. It took Rowan 3 weeks, but he got the Rose Royal back. He sold his prized sports car, emptied his savings, and even sold some of his expensive watches. The collector, moved by the family story, agreed to sell it back for the original price. When Rowan drove the vintage white Ambassador up to our grandparents' house, it was a humbler version of my cousin who stepped out. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a quiet remorse. I'm sorry, Annika, he said, handing me the keys. Really sorry. For everything. Grandpa made Rowan attend gambling addiction counseling and work his way back up in the business. From the bottom. He started in the stockroom, learning the value of the business he'd nearly destroyed. As for me and the Rose Royal, Grandpa insisted I keep the car. It was always meant to be yours, he said. But remember, family heirlooms aren't just for looking pretty. They're reminders of our values. The incident changed our family dynamics. Grandpa started being more involved in the business again, implementing better financial controls and regular audits. Grandma began hosting weekly family dinners where we actually talked about real issues. Instead of pretending everything was perfect. Rowan and I have a strained but healing relationship. He's been sober from gambling for 6 months now, and he recently apologized to me properly. Without excuses. You were always the brave one, he admitted during one of our coffee meetings. I was so busy trying to be the perfect heir that I forgot how to be a decent human being. I learned something important through this entire ordeal. Protecting someone isn't about hiding the truth from them. It's about having the courage to face the truth together. My attempt to shield Grandpa from pain nearly cost us our family legacy and created more damage than the truth ever could. The Rose Royal sits in my garage now, and I drive it every Sunday to visit my grandparents. Every time I turn the key, I'm reminded not just of family history, but of the importance of honesty and the danger of good intentions gone wrong. Grandpa says the whole experience gave him a new purpose in his later years to make sure his grandchildren Understand that family means being honest with each other, even when it's difficult, and he always adds with a twinkle in his eye. It taught me that my granddaughter loves me enough to sell her most precious possession for me. Even if she shouldn't have, the Rose Royal is more than a car to me now. It's a reminder that love means being truthful, that protection doesn't require sacrifice, and that some family traditions like honesty and integrity are more valuable than any vintage automobile.